I'm here at CPAC with the wonderful, the legend that is Ian Plimer, Professor Ian Plimer, the man who speaks truth to power better than anyone I've ever seen. And it is just an absolute honour and a privilege to be in your presence, sir.
Thank you for having me here. It was a privilege to have dinner with you last night also.
Yeah, we were excellent dinner company together, I think. I think we had a great time.
You didn't bore me very much.
Oh, well, that's an honour. Look at that, I'm not certified, not boring. So, what gets you up in the morning every day to do what you do?
My bladder.
Fantastic. I mean, okay, let me rephrase that. What, aside from your bladder, what gets you up in the morning and drives you to try and get the message that you so passionately and so articulately put on, you know, what is the climate crisis, global boiling nonsense?
Well, I absolutely love knowledge. I love life. And the first thing I do in the morning is I start reading, and I generally do about 4 or 5 hours of reading. Then I might think about having something to eat. And I just love learning. And I get so much joy out of understanding and learning. And having spent decades of my life in front of young people, passing on that enthusiasm, passing on the joy is something that really does motivate me. And I enjoyed that when I was chairs at various universities and other positions at universities. I enjoyed it when I write books and have to talk about it. I just enjoy trying to change someone's life.
Well, I think you do a fantastic job of it. So, is there currently a climate emergency?
Well, there is an emergency. It's an emergency of common sense. And the other emergency we have is there's not enough carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It has been decreasing over geological time from 0.7%, which was 500 million years ago, to the current 0.04%. If we halved it, all plant life would die. And we should be thinking very seriously about the long-term future of the planet and feeding plants with plant food, which is carbon dioxide. So we have a huge crisis in the education system, which has been dumbed down for the last 60 years. As a result of that, we have people having eco-anxiety and thinking there's a climate crisis. It's actually a crisis of education.
I think that's absolutely spot on. So I guess when you boil it all down, you've got, I think it was the UN not so long back last week, declared that the era of global warming is over and the era of global boiling is upon us. You would say there is no global boiling at this particular time in history?
I would say these people are ideologues who don't know history, who are trying to frighten us witless so we can open our wallet. This has got nothing to do with science. It's got nothing to do with environment. It's got nothing to do with climate. It's to do with control and power by unelected people over us. We have had global boiling, and it was on a Tuesday 4,000 million years ago when rainwater dropped onto a very hot surface of the planet and it boiled off. And when it started not to boil, then we had water that was running on the surface of the planet. And as soon as we had running water, we had life. Now, I reckon that's far more exciting than saying, oh, we're all doomed, and changing the language. And once the language is changed into exaggeration, you know you're being lied to.
Right. So, I mean, you're a professor and one of the foremost climatologists, given that you focus on historical records in the ground, geology, and the history of things. Would you suggest then, and it's a crazy suggestion, that anywhere there's standing water, there couldn't be boiling?
Oh, quite. Otherwise they would die. They would burn to death. We know that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius at sea level.
Yeah.
So if they're standing in water, presumably that's sea level, then it would be 100 degrees Celsius. They'd be dead. Now, that is absolute hype, absolute exaggeration, and I think they went a little bit too far, and there was a lot of mocking.
Yeah.
There was global mocking about global boiling.
So do you think that it's making our job a little bit easier because we're no longer having to explain what the percentage of carbon dioxide there is in the atmosphere, even though you're suggesting it's decreasing? But now it's just as simple as what you're saying is absolutely ridiculous. It's clearly ridiculous. Can you please stop that? This is all about making a buck, and we can see that. So is that sort of the
I think
the line?
I think that's what's happening, and I've always argued that this is never about the science, because not many people have got a scientific training. It's all about the wallet. And once people see that the power prices have gone up because of climate policy, and the people are saying really dopey things, like the era of climate boiling, people say, "Oh, hang on a tick, maybe this is not right."
Maybe they're helping you.
Oh, they certainly are helping me. Yeah, every idiot that calls fire in a cinema is helping me, and that's what they're doing.
I think that's true. So you've written some books recently. You've written a lot of books, but right now you've got some books that are targeted at a slightly younger audience, because clearly there's a passion for education there. Can you tell us a little bit about the books?
Well, at CPAC last year, I was here with my daughter, and she'd been at me for only about 20 years to write books for kids. And I finally decided that at CPAC last year that I'd write a book and launch it at CPAC this year. That's exactly what happened. And it's been very tight. 3 days ago we picked these up from the printer and drove them from Brisbane down to Sydney, which is about, that's 800 kilometres or so, 900 kilometres. It was tight, but it's just come out, and the first one is for ankle biters. That's for kids from, say, 8 to 12. And it's got a lot of illustrations. It's a book that's written for young kids. It's got a lot of humour in it. It's a bit seditious. It's a little bit naughty. That's
A bit dissident, maybe.
Oh yes, it is. And then
That one's perfect for me. I think I can get through that one. That's good.
And the second one is for teens, and this is the real audience, and the teens are getting fed a lot of nonsense at schools, and this is written in a completely different way, also a lot of humour in it, making science fun, but it's written in the style of books with a lot of drop-downs, a lot of little windows, to make it exciting and interesting and make it a good gallop through all the arguments. And the third one is written for 20s and wrinklies. Well, you did the wrinkly bit well.
Thank you.
And this is basically history of the planet, showing that if you understand the history of the planet, there is no way in the world that humans could change a major planetary process like climate. So it's a gallop through the history of the planet, and then at the end dealing with showing some of the relationships, say, between temperature and carbon dioxide, where you have got rising carbon dioxide, but actually temperature slightly falling. So it doesn't drive global warming.
Fantastic stuff. So I think there's some pictures even in that one. So that's also probably good for me too. So there's pictures in all of them.
Pictures in all of them.
Pictures in all of them.
And
there you go.
Pictures in the first one. Primitive, naive sort of pictures.
Oh,
but also
there's colour. Give us a look at that, right? Get some of these for the kids. There's a whale. Look at that. There's
the whale one. The whale one. Now,
and we know a song about whales, don't we?
The argument about this is that we used to kill whales, boil them up,
Yep.
use the oil for lanterns, and it was fossil fuels that actually had mineral oil in the lanterns, so we didn't have to kill whales. It was oil that saved the whales, fossil fuel.
Yeah.
And so that picture goes with it. There are also some scary pictures, and in the second one for teens, there are pictures of a different calibre, but
Oh, look at that. Yeah, there's
a
some.
picture on climate action now. And I just asked a simple question. What are you really going to do? Are you going to stop using a mobile phone? You're not going to stop using a car? You're not going to go on vacation in an aeroplane? What are you going to do? This is for teenagers. I don't want to hear a moral argument. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, given that the whole basis and premise is nonsense, I mean, even doing those things, you're really not going to achieve anything anyway. So I think this is some fantastic work. I hope you continue doing this for 100 years. So thank you very much for the service that you provide to society, and keep it up, sir. It's an honour and a privilege to be with you today.
Thank you for having me.